Try and catch is a way for you to catch an error that might occur from the usage of your application, either because the user did something wrong. Let's say, for example, the server is down, where you're trying to get information from, at the point where you say you are searching for Ibadan and then the server went down. How does that information, how do you manage the communication between that point where you try to access the server and it wasn't going? How do you give your user a feedback to make sure that your app doesn't break? And it's not just about the fact that the server is down. It can even be your code implementation that was wrong. You did something wrong. Yeah, most of the time we jump into the console here and fix the issue, but your user will not be jumping into the console to figure out stuff. And another thing again is you want to give a feedback on the system where everybody knows what's going on. Like maybe my server is down or something. You want to give the user an information. So a way to capture that error is using try and catch. Now, at the point where you click on that add button, a lot of things can go wrong. So any single comma we omit here, or we add here, or we put here, can disrupt what we are doing. Let me give you an instance. So that you will see what's going on. Let me change this to A, for example. Obviously, this is wrong. The right spelling is without an A. So I just added something weird into the mix. Of course, we're gonna get error, but the user is not gonna know what is going on. So if I do Ibadan and search for our result now, of course, it's gonna give us this error, and I'm gonna show you how to handle error like this. That's the point of try and catch. Yeah, your system did not respond. It just went like this. It didn't give any information to the user. So that's the point of this class or this topic, to find a way to respond to error and give the user feedback. So let's see what is going on here. Here, the system tries to find what the error is, and you can see what it says. Error name not resolved, as in, most of the times we give you something close to the error. You are the developer, so you could figure this out. So you should also give your user a way to figure things out. How do you catch an error? Another error I need to show you is, what if you search for something that does not exist, a location that does not exist, like this? We didn't treat that issue. I purposely did not treat it. Now, when you run this, obviously, there's no array that is going to be here. This is not going to result in a value. Your array is going to be empty. I can guarantee you that it's going to be empty. So a way for me to demonstrate that is to, let's console log on the top, so that we'll see the search result and the weather result at the bottom. So let's search for some weird stuff like so, which we know there's not going to be location that is like this. So if you run this, now notice the first result is empty, obviously, then it's going to make your second result to be empty. The code got executed, but it gave us a problem when we are trying to use it in line 23. We went ahead to try and use it in line 23. That's what is happening here, because here we console log the results, and you need to check. That one is not try and catch. This one is normal checking. You just check if this is empty, exit the function. I'm sure you know how to exit a function, so we can just do a normal check by saying, if the length, what should happen? Return. So return means it will terminate your function. Of course, at this point you can say location not found, so I won't do all those stuff, but this one saves you from having to come and run these bits that will require information from your search results. Do you see that the code terminates gracefully here? So you can, it depends on you now to now say, location not found. Because of this, we've seen how to do that, because search result is, this is an array. I'm sure you guys know that this is an array. So, and it's giving us length of 0. So that's what I just did. If the whatever is equal to 0, it should just return. Then if you search for something, Ikoyi, of course, it's going to bring the first Ikoyi that comes out. So that's what is going on, guys. Let's go to try and catch. I'm going to leave this code like this and see how try and catch works. You have to also know the syntax of try and catch. Try and catch is a block of code that you need to write just like function like this. You can see the way we did function, the way we did if, where there's a code inside, the way you did looping and what have you. That's the way try and catch works. So you want to put everything inside try and catch. Yeah, if you put everything inside try and catch, you'll be covered, kind of. So you can ignore some things if you don't want to put them. And again, you don't want your code to be too nested and too far away for you to see what it is you want to do. And you can limit your try and catch to just a specific portion, and we'll do that. We don't need to put try and catch on everything. So how does the try and catch works? If your concern is in fetching the information, like I said, if this guy is down now for some reason, they might be down, or you might hit your limit. If you hit your limit, there's no way for us to get that information. So you can do try and catch to see what happened and avoid such kind of embarrassment and handle it gracefully. So we can handle try and catch inside these two guys. So your try goes in this way, having this block of code. This block of code that say try is what are the things you want to try to check if it works. So the things we want to try, like I said, it can be everything inside this code, and it's fine. It can be everything inside this code you want to try, but I just want to make it as simple as possible. So you just put these two things is what we want to try. Now that you are trying this code, if anything goes wrong, what should happen? You now present a catch section to catch if anything goes wrong. Now, if anything goes wrong, we need to be able to identify the kind of error that has occurred, and you hold the error inside this variable here, or this parameter here. Then it also has another block of code to complete the circle of try and catch. So try and catch has two sections. That's why they call it try and catch. The try section is what you want to try to see if it will work. If it works, fine, you are good to go. If it doesn't work, anything you put in your catch section will then works. Okay, so what can we put in our catch section? Catch section is where you want to display a dynamic information, say, oh, sorry, our server is down or something. The same thing, I'm not going to write code to say that. You can already play with JavaScript and then put elements in the screen to make that happen. So what I can just do, I'll just do our boring old console log to log the error. And I can just say something like there was an error, and I can just capture the main error from this guy, because this guy has the error information in it. Or we can use another part of console, which is called console.error. By the way, console does a lot of things, not just to log alone. So if you put this way, you can do it. It carries a place where you have a text, and then another parameter for you to pass the error value itself. So I think it's preferable to use console.error to handle this. And there's a bonus, and that part is called finally. Finally works in respect of what happens. Once the try happens and is successful, it will run the code in finally. Once the try occurs and there's an error, it will run catch, and after it's run catches, it will now still run finally. That's what happens in finally. So I will say console.log. Our code ran till here. After it console log our issue, the code still went ahead to still run. It's continuing. And that's why I said you might want to wrap all your code inside try and catch. So at this point, you might need to terminate your catch here inside, because we are still using some variable declared inside here, because your try and catch has to be self-contained. You are trying that this value is existing, but you are still using it outside. So you have to make sure that your try and catch, everything is encompassing inside your try and catch. So let me copy everything inside here. I'm gonna make use of everything apart from this one. So I'll copy and I put everything inside the try. So everything now is inside try. And if anything goes wrong, it's going to tell us what went wrong inside here. So let's give it a try and say it's solo. Who knows it's solo? So this is the error message. So it cuts the error here. This one is normal error that you see in JavaScript because something went wrong. And it's also going to give you that error here. So it says fail to fetch this endpoint that you denote here. And this is safer to the user. Like the user is going to understand. Of course, you're not sending this to the user. You can put this as a caution or a balloon that will just say maybe server down. Sometimes you are not supposed to give the user the exact error. So you are going to read the error and interpret it to the user in another way. So if it says fail to fetch now, you know that there's something wrong with the server. So you can say server down for maintenance or something. So as to give something user some form of information. Then finally it will still do this. Finally is always a cleanup kind of a thing. In fact, this is another way we can put finally here to clear the text value. So irrespective of what happened, it's always going to clear the text section. So it doesn't depend on anything. The finally does not worry itself. It doesn't depend on anybody to do what it needs to do. So let me make that correction just to show you that finally will always execute. So if you put ikeja here and you run this, it's going to clear that ikeja. How do you do loading effects? At this point when you say waiting, the system is actually waiting. Like any point where you have waiting, it's actually waiting. So anything loading will be done. You can implement your loading anywhere. The same thing, I'm not going to do graphical info for you guys. I'm just going to change this guy to loading. And when it's done, it's going to go away. Just for the point of showing you some information. But you can implement some loading effects, some image and everything like that. You can implement that. I will say div and I'll call this loading. So I can put loading here so that you see loading, but by default I want to hide this information. Class is hide. Then we then need to go and write CSS. Okay, we have a CSS there. Then I can do hide, and you know what that means, display. I will say none. Then here I will do block. And you know what that means, I will say block. So I will just add and remove the class. At the point where we are at this section, I will do what? I will say show loading is equal to true, just to do one function instead of me writing two functions. And at the point where everything is done, do you see where finally comes into play? Anyhow, you will always show loading is equal to false. When you are done doing all your things, always say that, always turn off the loading. When you've done all this miracle, all this magic, you've gone all these things, turn off the loading. So let me just quickly write this one for you guys so that you can see how it is. And you can implement it any which way. We already have a video for this where I implemented something like this on a flag, Ajax stuff that we did. So this is our boolean, either true or false. Then we need to capture the ID holding that information, and the ID is called loading. We just maintain the same name. So we then say just normal if condition, if b is equal to true. Okay, so you have to watch quickly, you have to see what is going on. For me to test it, you have to open your eyes very well. Okay, ja. Was it done so fast? It seems not to be working. Kano. Okay, it's working. Kano. Then reverse. It's working. So instead of it like this, you can put it somewhere else. You can put it rolling, whatever effect you want to put, guys. Knock yourself out. Reverse is Riverside. Okay, so Riverside, it brought Riverside in United States, but that's fine. Let me see what is gonna happen if I try Maryland. Okay, Maryland, United States. Okay. Your assignment is very simple. You can implement another endpoint so that when you click on this allocation is going to give you details of 5-day forecast. Thank you for staying to the end. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification for more videos from us. See you in the next one.